All right, so we're about 20-ish games through the 2024 NBA season, and I've talked about so many players this season. Either it's a tier list or a ranking or deciding who's the best player on a single team. A couple days ago, I talked about everybody from like the 2020 draft class, and then I kind of wanted to talk about some certain players, but they didn't really have any correlation. But the correlation they do have actually is they are my favorite players to watch this year. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? We're back here on the mic, and I'm going to be talking about like 9-ish guys that I just have the most enjoyment watching so far this year. I try to evenly distribute them. I got about 3 guards, 3 forwards, 3 bigs. I wanted to throw a rookie in here as well. And I wasn't going to throw like the top 10 guys in the NBA. I tried to take a player from each bucket. Like we got maybe an MVP candidate for the guards, and then we have an up-and-coming youngin, and then we have like another really solid role player. So yeah, if you guys do enjoy the videos, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments like 3 to 5 of your favorite players that you watched this season that are not necessarily on your favorite team. All right, so we're going to start things off with an MVP candidate this year. He's been my favorite player since he's been drafted in 2018, and that's Luka Doncic. I mean, how can you just not love watching Luka play? I do think, okay, we'll start off with a negative though. At times, he does complain a lot about foul calls, so I could see how that can get annoying sometimes for sure, because it annoys me. But a lot of, basically every NBA player does it, so you just have to take that. Like any NBA player that is driving a ton, that plans on getting to the line a ton, is going to complain basically after every play. Like, I love my Knicks. I love Jalen Brunson. But man, he also complains a ton about foul calls. Maybe it's just the Maverick way. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just watching Luka Doncic, I feel like he does something completely new every single night. If you look into stat lines for guards, it's just some of the most insane box scores ever, and you're watching it and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. He is contributing on every single way on the offensive end. This team, this Maverick squad, would be nothing without him. I do think that they're a solid team, but the only reason why they even think they could win a championship this season is because of Luka Doncic. Like last night, they blew out the Jazz by 50, and I'm just watching Luka cook in the first half, and he does it so effortlessly, and he put up 40 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, and shot 56% from the field and 50% from 3. So this dude can take over on the offensive side of the floor. I also just love his passing vision and how he could just make insane cross-court passes when you're like, how does he even know that that man is wide open? He's just that smart with defense's rotations that he already knows just the next step to make when passing the ball. I mean, I'm not really watching him too much for his defense. There are some other defensive studs on this list that we'll get to. So when I'm just watching Luka, I just get amazed by his passing ability and his ability just to make insanely difficult shots. He's clutch. And yeah, I'm just a big Luka Doncic fan. I think like I just grew up loving like the prototypical point guards like Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul. Man, I loved Chris Duhon at one point. That's how much I love pass first point guards. So watching somebody that is one of the most insane passers in the league but can still drop 40 on any single night is just kind of one of my favorite things to watch. So yeah, Luka Doncic, how to talk about him. He's definitely my favorite player in the NBA to watch. All right, so we'll hop to a forward now. We actually have one of 2 players from the 2022 draft class, and that is Paulo Banero of the Orlando Magic. Okay, so when I was evaluating Paulo Banero for the 2022 NBA draft, I liked him at Duke, but I didn't love him. I thought there were some aspects of his game where I was like, I don't even know if that's going to translate to the next level. Is he going to have a hustle issue? Is he going to be able to play 35 plus minutes a night on an NBA court? Because there was a concern with that. But literally since day one, he has proven me wrong. And he's somebody I can get my Duke bias aside of. I don't like watching Duke basketball. I grew up as a UNC fan. But now that Paulo is in the NBA, I really enjoy watching him. I really liked watching him also for Team USA in the FIBA World Cup. I thought he was a great addition to that team, especially as a nice spark plug big off the bench. And this year for the Orlando Magic, it's just been a joy to watch Paulo Banero, man. And this man is only 21 years old. I think one aspect of his game that I just love that he's worked on has been his outside shot, because he shot sub 30% from 3 in his rookie year. He's up to 42%. 42% from downtown this year, so it's been a pleasant surprise to watch how consistent he has been from downtown. And just his ability to score at the basket, I think, has also taken a jump from year 1 to year 2. He's very efficient inside. I also just kind of love the improvement on the defensive side of the ball for him. The Magic are one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Paulo is contributing on that side of the floor. And a 6'10 power forward that can give you 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists a night, shoot north of 40% from 3, and play solid defense is just what you want in the NBA. And just watching a prototypical stretch 4, but also could be your primary shot creator, is a very rare thing in the NBA. Paulo has such a bright future. Like I said, he's just 21 years old, and I already love watching him play. I also love this Orlando Magic team, and he comes on this list. You could say I love a bunch of guys on these Magic teams. I love watching Jalen Suggs. I love watching Franz Wagner. I'm a Cole Anthony guy. I just mentioned I was a UNC guy. I really like Markelle Fultz. But yeah, Paulo definitely sticks out to me. He's a do-it-all power forward in this NBA, and I'm a big Paulo guy. I mentioned before how I love watching Jalen Brunson play, and he's probably, he definitely is my favorite player on the Knicks. So you could also mention him here, but I want to talk about Mitchell Robinson because I just love watching Mitch inside. In my opinion, he's the second most important New York Knick. Yes, ahead of RJ, ahead of Randall, ahead of Hart, DiVincenzo, quickly, definitely ahead of Quentin Grimes. They call him the blockness monster. They call him Mitchell Robinson. Man, he is just so important to this Knicks team because he's never going to demand the ball. He's never going to try to do too much. And he is just on the glass on every single rebound opportunity. He's right there on the defensive glass after every single shot. But what I love about Mitch is he's always there on the offensive glass after every Knicks miss, or even if it's going to go in, he's still right there. And he's going to try to get that offensive rebound, or he's going to try to tip it back out to the perimeter to keep the possession alive. He's one of the best rebounders in the league, in my opinion, just because of how important he is on the offensive side of the ball and how tough it is to get offensive rebounds. And he makes it look so easy because he's 7 foot tall. He has an insane wingspan, and he just hustles a ton, man. He's always running up and down the court. He's fixed his foul issues. He had such a foul problem in his rookie year. He was averaging over like 3 fouls a night. It feels like he was in foul trouble just left and right, and now he's averaging under 2 fouls a night. So you just love to see an improvement in the game. And I think like when you also watch somebody grow from their rookie season to year 6, for example, on your favorite team, you can really see how much they've actually progressed over time. And that's what Mitchell Robinson is doing for the Knicks, and it couldn't make me happier. All right, I wanted to talk about at least one rookie on this list. You could throw Chet Holmgren in this video for sure, but I wanted to talk about Asim Thompson of the Detroit Pistons. Man, the Pistons have not had a lot go right for them this season. They are definitely at rock bottom. They are approaching 2010 New Jersey Nets bad, 2012 Charlotte Bobcats bad. They're on an 18-game losing streak. 18 freaking games. And you can also throw Cade Cunningham on this list as well, because I do enjoy watching Cade a ton. But Asim Thompson, the Mr. Do-It-All rookie, he was my 4th ranked player going into this draft class. I had him right behind that top 3 of Wemby, Scoot, and Miller. And I loved Asim Thompson for all these reasons. Someone that's able to just do it all on the NBA floor. Someone that could score, rebound, assist, block shots, steal passes, run in transition, cut, slash. He could just do it all. Okay, the one thing he can't do is he can't really shoot from 3. He has not been a good 3-point shooter this year, but I did say that was going to come in my pre-draft evaluation. I knew he was not going to be a good shooter right away, but as we go into years 3, 4, and onwards, he was definitely going to progress his outside shot because his overall efficiency so far this year has been fine. He's shooting 46% from the field, and it looks like that on the NBA floor. It just doesn't look great when he decides to take an outside shot, but he's just everywhere, man. He's everywhere. He's 6'7". He's a forward. He's up there in block shots in the NBA. He's up there in rebounds in the NBA. He's averaging 9 rebounds for a forward as a rookie. That's incredible. And he's 20 years old. I feel like he's been asked to do a lot this year too for a very, very poor situation in Detroit. And I'm so excited about him in the future because he could really be a future shooting guard, small forward, or power forward. And I swear to God, if he's able to develop somewhat of like, let's say a 30% 3-point shooting outside shot, he's going to be such a scary player in the NBA because of how versatile he already is. And then if you add an outside shot, you could really play him anywhere. And I just love watching Asim Thompson whenever I just decide to randomly watch a Pistons game, which hasn't been a lot of fun this year. All right, let's stay on teams that are having such disappointing seasons in the Central Division and the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, not a lot of players you can really enjoy watching on this team. Maybe it's a UNC bias again, but I love watching Kobe White. So when that free agency signing hit in the offseason, I was streaming on the Stroush channel, and I was like, why? I didn't really like it right away. I thought, not like an overpay, but I just thought they had so many guards already, and why bring back Kobe White when you could have maybe done a sign and trade or just let him walk, and I could see him flourish elsewhere. But no, this year, it's been a phenomenal contract. I love Kobe White. I liked the contract basically a week after my reaction to it, and he's a damn good scorer. His 3-point jumper looks so good, and it's been progressing each and every season. I think he's also taken a step as a passer this year. He showed flashes of this, I feel like, in year 2, and now he's really come along as a nice combo guard, and his mid-range has just been on the money this year. I feel like shots just like at 10 feet, it's pretty, it goes in, he gets the shots he wants, and I like how quick he is with the ball in his hands as well. I'm just a big Kobe White guy all around, and if Chicago would even think about moving him, I feel like I would give up a unprotected first for sure to get him, but there would be no need for them to do that. He's just 23 years old entering year number 5, just because that's how young he was at North Carolina and how young he was when he got drafted. I think he can win a 6-man of the year award one day if he's ever just a primary off the bench guy. And I know Chicago has it bad this year, but Kobe White is not a reason why. Anytime I'm watching a Bulls game for the remainder of the season, it's really just because of Kobe White. It pains me to talk about this next guy because just what could have been if the Knicks never traded him, if he never wanted out, and that's Kristaps Porzingis of the Boston Celtics. So he has been dealing with an injury a little bit as of late, but he should be coming back soon, and he looks pretty much healthy this year, though. When he's been on the floor, he looks great, man. This might be the best iteration we've ever seen of Kristaps Porzingis in his 8th season. Obviously, he was the 4th overall pick for the Knicks back in 2015. I'm a huge Knicks fan, so when that pick happened, I was like, okay, I heard the hype about this guy, but Emmanuel Moutier's right there. Justice Winslow is right there. So good thing I wasn't making that draft decision. It was the only good move Phil Jackson really ever made for the New York Knicks as the president. Man, and he just looks so good throughout the first couple of years. Obviously, he tore his ACL. Then he asked to get traded while the Knicks were tanking in the 2019 season. I'm excited to watch his appearance on the JJ Redick podcast because I think he's going to go into it a little bit more, but it seems like he does regret the way he handled leaving New York and then was somewhat of a disappointment in Dallas. I mean, they traded him for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, so that was definitely a little bit of a fall off for KP. And then he just kind of turns his career around in Washington over the last season and a half, and he has just looked so good as like the 4th scoring option for Boston this season. I love his ability to space the floor. Obviously, that's just like the thing you love probably most about Kristaps, how elite of a 3-point shooter he can be, and his just ability to space the floor overall just makes him such a versatile threat. And he's also not a liability on the defensive end either. Obviously, Boston can kind of help that issue at times, and they can hide his flaws on that side just because of how elite their defense is already. But I just love an elite shooting big man. I mean, he's a 7'2" center that could shoot it from 35 feet consistently. How can you not love watching that? All right, last forward we're going to talk about here today is just a defensive wizard, a defensive stud. It's Herb Jones of the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, the reason why I love watching Herb Jones is just his ability to get everywhere on the defensive side of the floor. I think he 100% deserves an all-defensive team this year. And I'm not going to say I've watched every single play of every single player that deserves to be in that defensive team conversation. So maybe he's not deserving, and you can let me know in the comments below. But whenever I'm watching the Pelicans, I'm like, this guy is definitely one of the 10 best defenders in the league. He is just everywhere. His insane wingspan, too, at 6'8", long arms, ability to get in the passing lanes, can deflect passes at a really good level, high defensive basketball IQ. He can switch. He can guard almost every position on the floor. I feel like he's such a pesky guy too when he's guarding you on the point of attack. One-on-one, it's insanely hard to get by him. And I feel like he can clutch it up too on that defensive side of the ball. I love watching Herb Jones just on that side of the court. He's also just been a pleasant surprise this year on the offensive side of the ball. I think really, I didn't expect him to be this much of an offensive player after watching him in Alabama in that 2020-2021 season. But he has been a knockdown 3-point shooter this year. He's really a perfect 3-and-D guy. But I also think he's a good playmaker, and he's not somebody that you just got to put in the corner and his only job is going to hit threes. He could facilitate. He could score inside at times. But if he's going to stay around this like 36% 3-point shooter with the elite defense he's playing, he's just going to be one of the best contracts in the league for a long time. All right, last guard we are going to talk about is another player from the 2022 draft class, and that is Shaden Sharp of the Portland Trailblazers. So I'm not going to say it's been a perfect season for Shaden Sharp, but he was one of the youngest players ever entering the NBA last season for Portland. He's still just 20 years old. So there's obviously going to be some inconsistencies at times. There's going to be some bad shot selection, some nights where it's just not going to fall. And I know the Portland Trailblazers haven't had too much excitement this season. Obviously, the first year without Dame, Scoot Henderson's been a little bit of a disappointment, but Shaden Sharp has not, man. Some of the games that I've caught this year from him have just really caught my eye. Like, it was earlier in the season, and now what we know about Detroit, maybe it wasn't like the craziest thing, but what he did against Detroit earlier in the year, he scored, I think, around like 30 points, if I can remember correctly, and really just dominated the ball on the offensive side of the floor. And it was just working in all aspects for Portland. He was taking over that game, it felt like. And like I said, he's 20 years old. Like, that is just insanely impressive. When I was 20, I was the most immature person ever. I was doing 82-0 rebuilds. And this man is just dropping 30 points on a random November night in the NBA. He's just a freak athlete too. He's just like somebody that I'm like, okay, he could poster anybody in this game right now. And I loved watching him against Cleveland too, which was a little bit more recently. We had kind of a similar performance than that Detroit game, and it was a much more impressive win. So maybe just gonna go off against Central Division teams this year. There's obviously gonna be some bad games as well, like it happened against OKC, Phoenix, Indiana at times this season. When I am watching the Portland Trailblazers, he's the guy I'm focused in on the most, and I think he's gonna have such a bright future in this league. All right, so the last player we are gonna talk about is an MVP candidate. He's probably the MVP right now. It's Nikola Jokic. I mean, like Luka Donic, I know it's like pretty much of a chalk take because everybody probably loves watching Jokic, or a lot of people do. So like, it's no surprise that I'm gonna have him here just because what he is as a passer. I mean, I love passing. I just think it's such a cool aspect of the game to really facilitate, set up your teammates, and if you're gonna do it in a flashy style, it's just brownie points there. And like Luka, I don't get Jokic's court vision. It's insane. It's like he's playing 2K on like a sky cam, and has that in the back of his mind and knows where everybody is and is going to be wide open, or how he's going to make this insane pass cross court around somebody or behind the back. It doesn't make any sense. And I think like when I can watch a game and my jaw will drop a little bit after a pass, you're going to make this video. But yeah, Jokic is just like a stat like guru at this point. I mean, he's averaging 28 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists a night. 10 assists for somebody that's 7 foot freaking tall. He's also a solid 3-point shooter. And I mean, I'm not really watching him to hit threes because they look so gross at times and somehow they go in, but he's just a bucket inside. I just really love watching him for his passing ability. So yeah, that is gonna be for me. Those are 9 guys that are pretty much my favorite players to watch this season. Obviously, I like watching more than these 9 guys like Alperen Şengün. It was tough leaving him off this list, or Tyrese Halliburton, or Mikal Bridges either. Like, there's a lot of guys that I really enjoy watching that didn't make this list. So yeah, let me know in the comments some of your favorite players to watch this season. I'd love to hear you guys give your takes down there. If you guys do enjoy these NBA Talk style videos, I'd appreciate you if you dropped a thumbs up. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.